Gen Z thinks millennials ruined money. Millennials think boomers had it easy. Gen X thinks everyone is soft. Boomers think young people just spend too much. Every generation has its own explanation for why money feels harder now, and some of those explanations are actually true. Housing changed, college changed, wages changed, interest rates changed. The economy each generation entered was never quite the same one. But underneath all of that, there is one financial mistake every generation keeps finding some version of, regardless of the decade they were born into. They confuse looking stable with actually being free. By the end of this video, you'll see the exact math behind that confusion, and why it costs more the longer it goes unnoticed. You'll see two people with different incomes end up in nearly identical financial positions for one specific reason. And you'll get the exact order that flips the mistake into an advantage using nothing but the income you already have. Here's how the mistake actually starts. Nobody wakes up and decides to sabotage their future. It starts with one single upgrade. A first real paycheck lands. The old apartment suddenly feels too small. The old car feels embarrassing. Cooking at home feels inconvenient. None of those feelings are irrational. If you're earning more, wanting to enjoy it is completely normal. The actual danger isn't spending more. It's turning a temporary want into a permanent monthly obligation without noticing the switch happened. A vacation is expensive once. A bigger apartment is expensive every single month for as long as you live there. A dinner out is expensive once. A car payment is expensive every month, whether or not you're still enjoying the car. This is why the mistake is so hard to catch in real time. It doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like progress. Let's run the actual math, because the math is where this stops being a feeling and starts being provable. Take two people. Person A earns $3,000 a month. Person B earns $5,000, $2,000 more every single month. On paper, person B should be pulling ahead fast. That's $24,000 extra dollars a year before anything else is considered. Person A spends $2,800 of that $3,000. Person A saves $200 a month. Not dramatic, but real. Person B upgrades the apartment, the car, the takeout, the travel, and ends up spending $4,950, saving only $50. Person B earns $2,000 more every month, yet person B saves $150 less than person A does. That's what happens by default when spending rises in proportion to income. It's the default setting for almost everyone. Wealth was never built by income alone. It's built by the gap between what comes in and what goes back out. Someone earning $5,000 and spending all $5,000 isn't financially free. They're running a more expensive version of the exact same treadmill. The treadmill gets faster as the lifestyle gets bigger. A bigger lifestyle simply has more fixed costs, and all of them repeat automatically. A small emergency at $3,000 a month is stressful. The same emergency at $5,000 a month with a bigger rent, a car payment, and more subscriptions stacked on top can become a real crisis. One generation bought bigger houses than they could comfortably carry. Another financed cars to match a new salary. Another leaned on credit cards to maintain a lifestyle. The newest version runs through buy now, pay later, subscriptions and delivery apps, different tools, same order of operations. Build the lifestyle first and hope the foundation catches up later. That's structurally identical to building the second floor of a house before the concrete for the first floor has fully set. It looks like progress. You can point at it, but the structure starts shaking the moment real life applies any real pressure to it, and real life reliably applies that pressure. A job loss, a medical bill, a rent increase, a car repair. These aren't rare exceptions. They're normal financial shocks. The Federal Reserve's 2025 household survey found something telling. Only about 63% of U.S. adults could cover a $400 emergency using cash or its equivalent. Not $4,000, $400. And for more than a third of adults, that specific number was enough to push them toward debt. That gap isn't mainly about laziness. It's about building a financial life with no shock absorbers built into it at all. A car has suspension because roads were never going to be perfectly smooth. A financial life needs savings for the exact same reason. Most people build speed instead of suspension, earning more, upgrading more, keeping pace. Then one bump arrives and the whole thing breaks at once. Debt is what turns this from a slow leak into a real trap. It lets someone live tomorrow's lifestyle today on credit. A $30,000 car feels enormous as one number. $500 a month feels almost normal until it's one of several payments running at once. The New York Fed reported total U.S. household debt reached roughly $18.8 trillion in the first quarter of 2026. Not all debt behaves the same way here. A mortgage can build an asset. A reasonable student loan can raise lifetime income. Those are structurally different from consumer debt used to fund a lifestyle. Consumer debt used specifically to maintain an image of stability is one of the fastest ways to lose control of monthly cash flow. Now, there's interest fighting against every future paycheck, too. Here's the part almost nobody actually calculates. The real cost of a small monthly upgrade isn't the sticker price. It's what that money could have become instead. $300 extra a month on lifestyle upgrades doesn't sound dramatic on its own. It rarely does, in the moment it's spent. $300 a month sounds small on its own. Invested consistently for 30 years at an assumed 8% annual return, it grows to roughly $447,000. That's the actual trade being made, not $300 a month, but potentially close to $500,000 decades later. Every generation underestimates this same math. The future stays invisible, while the pleasure of spending is immediate and completely real. At 22, retirement feels theoretical. By 52, the sentence becomes, "I wish I'd started earlier." Compounding rewards people who kept going before it looked impressive, which is exactly the part most people don't have the patience for. Here's the order that actually breaks the pattern. It doesn't require becoming cheap or giving up an enjoyable life to do it. Most people run this sequence by default. Earn money, upgrade lifestyle, pay bills, spend whatever's left, save only if anything remains. Here's the alternative sequence instead. Earn money, save and invest first, pay necessary bills, then enjoy whatever's left with zero guilt attached to it. That reordering changes everything. When saving happens last, the lifestyle ends up deciding the future by default. When saving happens first instead, the future gets to decide the lifestyle. And what's left over is genuinely guilt-free to spend. Step 1. Build a gap before upgrading anything. If income is $3,000 a month, don't build a $3,000 lifestyle around it. Even a 10% gap changes the trajectory. On $4,000 a month, that's $400, $5,760 a year. Redirected instead of absorbed. Step 2. Freeze the lifestyle for 3 to 6 months after every raise. Keep living at the old level while the new income lands. If a raise adds $500 a month, direct most of it toward savings or debt, maybe $100 toward lifestyle, $400 toward the actual goal. That's the exact moment wealth gets built or quietly lost. Most people lose the raise before they ever really feel it arrive. Step 3. Attack the big fixed costs before the small ones. Housing and transportation were the two largest spending categories in 2024. Together, they made up just over half of average annual consumer expenditures, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. A $20 impulse buy is a single decision. A $700 car payment is a system. It repeats automatically every month without needing a new decision each time. Reducing one fixed cost by $300 isn't a single win. It's a win that repeats every single month going forward. Step 4. Build 1 month of basic expenses as a buffer, not 6. 1 real month is enough to turn a car repair from a crisis into an inconvenience. Step 5. Automate the investing itself. Motivation is unreliable by nature. A recurring transfer on payday isn't. The amount matters less than the habit does, at least at first. The goal was never to become the person who never spends money. It's to become the person who spends without a wave of panic behind it. That's the real difference between looking financially stable and actually being financially free. And it was never about which generation had it worse. Every generation gets a version of the same offer. Look successful now and figure out the security later. On credit, with interest attached. The mistake isn't wanting a better life. It's building the appearance of one before building anything underneath it that can actually carry the weight. Security first, then status. Status paid for in advance is just a bill with better lighting. It arrives on a schedule of its own choosing. And the next trap runs on almost the identical mechanism, just with a completely different price tag attached to it.